This $300 mixer solved my Liverig monitoring problem. Let me show you how. But first, real quick, today's patron shout out goes to Mike Pounder. Thank you so very much for the support. Also, if you would like to have your music featured in my upcoming free live stream concert, Freebeat Live 2025, simply click the link in the description to find out how to do so. And leading up to the live show, I'll have more content coming out here on the channel as well, such as this Monday upload. All right, let's get started. So this is my Liverig. It consists of the Roland MC707, the Roland SPD-SX controlling the 707 via MIDI, the Arturia Microlab Mark III also controlling the 707 via MIDI, this Rock Band Keytar down here also controlling the 707 via MIDI. Then down on the pedal board, we've got the Polyend Step, which is a drum machine pedal. We've also got the Boss VE500, which is a vocal effects pedal. Then up here, we've got the Morningstar MC6 Pro, which is basically just acting as a MIDI host right now. And then I also do have the Boss FS5U down here, which is actually not really in use as of right now, but I will probably program that to do a few patch change things on the SPD-SX. Of course, there is also this Zoom Livetrak L6, which will be the focus of this video, specifically why I added it to the setup and the problem it's solving. Also, a huge thank you to Zounds.com for lending me this Livetrak L6 for Freebeat Live 2025. So in the Liverig, my Roland MC707 houses all of the sounds, patterns, and effects for the actual songs in my set. See, I come from the world of more traditional bands and acoustic instruments, where songs have a beginning, middle, and end, and then some silence, and then the next song starts. However, as I've learned more about electronic music, I've realized that most of the time songs don't really end. Instead, they flow right into whatever's next in the set, and so I've decided to try and do that myself. The problem is that each song in the MC707 is programmed as its own project, since my songs are typically a bit more complex and take up more than just a few patterns. But switching between songs can take anywhere from 5 to 20 seconds here on the MC707, and during that time, all audio cuts out, even the audio from the audio injects on the back of the MC707. To combat this, I added the Polyend Step into the Liverig so that when a song ends on the 707, I can simply hit the play button here on the step to provide some transition music while the MC707 loads the next song. However, because I was just running my headphones directly out of the 707, this meant that I had no way of actually monitoring the Polyend Step, since the audio could not go into the 707 on account of it getting cut out during the song switching. And so I started researching a small mixer that would allow me to have a different mix in my in-ear monitors than what the main outs would hear. I already had the 1010 Blue Box over here, but working with a touch display and 1/8" outs just wasn't ideal. Now, I originally wrote the Livetrak L6 off because it technically does not have the ability to make a custom headphone mix. The headphones simply monitor whatever the main outs are hearing, just with a dedicated level control. However, let's take a closer look at this $300 mixer. As you can see, there are 2 XLR combo jack inputs and then 4 stereo inputs, 2 of which can be split into 2 mono inputs each. Output-wise, we have a headphone jack, we have a stereo pair for the main outs, and a pair of aux sends. These caught my eye because each channel can have its own individual send output. The key feature, though, is hidden in the Windows and Mac-based software, which allows you to set the sends to either be pre or post fader. That means you can have separate levels sent to the sends and the main outs on a per-track basis, thus creating a custom headphone mix for the aux send jacks. So let me walk you through how I have everything set up, because it's actually fairly simple. First, I have 2 outputs going out of my Boss VE500 vocal pedal. One is going into the audio input on the MC707, so I can process it there, and this other signal here is basically dry, and it is going right into the Livetrak L6 here. This is for talking to the audience during a few pauses that still do occur in the show. The dry signal is also sent to my in-ear monitors so I can hear myself talking. Next, I've got the main outs of the 707 going into the L6. These are simply sent to the main outs, the master outs here of the L6, and they are not sent at all to the custom headphone mix because, well, I don't need to hear the main outs of the 707. More on that in just a minute. Next up, I've got the stereo outs of the polyend step going into channel number 4 here on the Livetrak L6. These are sent to both the audience via the main outs as well as my in-ear mix, so I can monitor those transitions in between the songs. Next up is a pair of empty inputs. However, these will not be empty during the actual live show. These are going to be where I plug in the microphone from the control booth. So this signal will not be sent at all to the main outs. However, it will be sent to my custom in-ear mix. And that's so the people in the control booth can speak directly to me without the audience hearing it. This is going to be key for calling out things like donations live as they occur, since we always shout those out, as well as if any issues or emergencies pop up that may need attention, I can directly hear that information in my ears without the audience hearing it. And finally, the last of the inputs right here. This is a stereo pair coming from the headphone jack of the MC707. This signal is exclusively sent to my in-ear mix and not to the audience. That's because it contains things like the metronome for count-ins, as well as some various cue samples that I have set up to remind me of upcoming parts, instrument switches, things like that. Then on the output side of things, we have the aux send jacks. These are actually both mono, but since my headphones are stereo, I'm actually running them into a little adapter. I don't know if you can see in there. But then they run into my stereo headphone cable there. So these jacks are effectively my monitor outs with a custom mix, and it works like a charm. And finally, we have the main out jacks here, which are currently empty, but during the live show, these will be ran into the audio interface at the computer, going directly to OBS for everyone watching the stream to be able to hear the audio. So that's how the Livetrak L6 fixed my live rig monitoring problem. For everything I could find, the L6 was the best solution for something this small that still used full-size XLR and quarter-inch jacks. If you'd like to catch this rig in action, then be sure to check out Freebeat Live 2025, coming up on Friday, July 25th at 7 p.m. Pacific, and Saturday, July 26th at 11 a.m. Pacific. You can also have your music featured in the show during the Freebeat Live Community Showcase. Simply watch the video linked in the description to learn how. As always, I am open to any and all questions in the description below, either about the show or the live rig itself. I do hope you found this video informative or at least entertaining. If you did, be sure to leave a like on it. If not, you can always leave a dislike. That's okay too. Doesn't hurt my feelings, just makes me try that much harder next time. Either way, be sure to hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell. Thank you all so very much for being here. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.